Welcome again, everyone, to this session about information session about the BITM, the new BITM Masters. I'm Chintan Amrit. I'm an associate professor at the Business Analytics Department, and I'm very happy to be the program director of the new Masters. So this is a session where I'll try to explain what we have put in the Masters and why it is so exciting. Okay, so of course you might all know about University of Amsterdam. It is located in a very attractive city. It's in Amsterdam. It's a top tier public university, high quality, relatively low cost education, excellent research, real impact in many areas, and that's also recognized by the business school of. There's a body that manages recognizes impact, business school impact system or something. And there's a lot of autonomy as a faculty in UFA that's there. And we are doing very well in rankings. You might have already seen about that. And we are generally in the top 100 in many of the rankings. And in some, like the QS ranking, the top 60, also the Times higher education ranking, we end up in the top 60 as a university. Okay, so what do we have new in this master? So we are basically built the masters on an earlier track called digital business, where we had three courses which we kind of move on to this masters. And what we have are many more exciting courses that make up a complete master. So I will be talking about those. But first, let me give you some motivation about how we got about creating those new courses. So we first did a kind of a survey with C-level employers, and many of them were alumni of University of Amsterdam, also Amsterdam Business School. And what they said was there was a real need for IT understanding of alumni, so of new graduates. They needed to understand IT and execute disruptive IT initiatives. Okay, so this was something that we had in mind while creating this or designing this new masters. So, what were the things that we got from this survey? One of the most important topics that the C-suite executives mentioned was that information systems development, like agile, DevOps, hands-on development, was really important. So 83% of them said that this was extremely important in as a skill for new hires. And then the next most important skill was the knowledge and know-how of technology. So AI, blockchain, cloud, distribution kind of technologies, edge technologies. So this was the number two most mentioned skill, and that was about mentioned by 79% of the respondents. And the third most important skill might not come as a surprise was applied data science and machine learning, mentioned by 75%. Equally important was digital transformation, change management, and consulting skills, as well as IT strategy and governance skills. Okay, the next most important was cybersecurity. And we see that very often, like many companies have to deal with attacks, denial of service attacks. So that's becoming more and more popular. Also, universities are suffering from these attacks. So it's very important to also understand what goes behind securing things and what's the state of the art. What you are fighting, what are you fighting against? And then the next most important skill was or understanding of business models in digital world, followed by process and data analysis, ethics and law, and finally learning to work together in teams, solving a case together. So these were the most important topics raised by the C-level employers. And what we took from that was that we needed a way in which we can use new IT to disrupt and to understand how it disrupts the market. So we start with the idea of disruption because, okay, that's what is happening nowadays with generative AI, with things in cybersecurity. There's a lot of disruption, and to get on top of this, you need to understand what technologies are really involved. So we start with disruptions, and then we go to strategic responses. And these strategic responses generally rely on new IT technologies that need a very good understanding, a very in-depth understanding. So that is how we have designed our masters. So what do we have in the masters? Okay, so we spoke about those three core courses. That is theories of BITM, which is basically the core theories in the field of information systems and business information technology. Then we have the core course on digital transformation. What is digital transformation of a company really involve? Okay, so that is covered in this course. And then we also talk about the core ideas of data science and AI for business, which will be taught by me. At the same time, we also have change management and consultancy. What does that involve? So how do you manage change, but how do you also initiate change? We have a very nice course which will be taught for the first time in this masters, but by a person, by an academic who's very experienced in actually teaching this. This is followed by a short period where we have two courses. We have the ethics and law course. So this is just a 4-week period, which is called a short quarter. And the same time we have the thesis clinic, which basically kickstarts the master thesis for this masters, in the sense that the master thesis is actually the whole of the, like, the starting from here going on to period 4 and 5 along with the other courses. So the master thesis actually starts in period 3, so that you have more than 6 months to actually complete your thesis. This, I would say, is one of the highlights of our masters, where we give the students enough time to understand the research question and actually come up with a very interesting and well-developed thesis. I think the time is enough for that. So that is also taught by a very senior academic who will be going through all the research methods that are required to write a good thesis. And this is followed by period 4, where we talk about digital impact lab. That is a very hands-on course. I'll be talking about that a little later, so keep that in mind. And the cybersecurity course, cybersecurity and IT AI auditing course. And in finally in period 5, we have the AI impact lab and the thesis, which the students have to do, in full gusto. And finally, the master's ends at period 6. So what are the colors here? So the colors basically indicate the different focuses we have in this master's. So the orange color, if I can call it that, is the business strategy, other business strategy courses, digital transformation, followed by change management and consultancy. The dark green courses are the new IT technologies that we would be handling. And that is the course that I would be teaching, data science and AI for business, which is followed by 2 hands-on lab courses, the digital impact lab and the AI impact lab. And finally, the light green courses are the information systems courses, where you understand the theories, the core theories of information systems. That's covered by the theories of BITM course, followed by the ethics and law course in the short quarter, which is again followed by the cybersecurity and IT AI auditing course, which is a very critical course, if you ask me. And that's becoming more and more evident and important as you see the world around, right? So how do these combine with our strategy for the masters? So the orange basically is the disruption part of our masters. The the dark green is the design, where we teach the students how to design technologies. And finally, the light green is the deliver. So design, disrupt, design, and deliver. So deliver would be a good understanding of the actual information systems theories, and understanding how uh, their design can be actually delivered. Okay, we do a bit of that, the delivery also during the labs, but this is more the theory behind. Okay, so who will be teaching the courses? We have a very exciting and enthusiastic group of lecturers, most of them very senior academics, like the ones going to teach theories of BITM, myself, if I can say that, uh, and then change management and consultancy. Also, digital transformation is taught by quite a senior academic. Uh, Cybersecurity, IT, AI auditing would also be taught by a senior academic. Then we have the two new labs taught by researchers and academicians who have a lot of experience in both hands-on lab sessions and in doing it themselves. They are part engineers, so they love to make applications and actually see it delivered. Okay, so they have the background and the expertise in this. So moving on, the little more focus on the labs. So what do we do in the lab? So what we'll be doing is we'll be actually handling a real world challenge. So we have a couple of companies that we have contacted and who are very enthusiastic about giving a real world challenge, like a problem that they are actually facing in the company. And this would be given to the students as a team. And the idea is that they need to understand the requirements that the company is actually looking for solving that particular problem. So they need to look into the problem in more detail and then come up with a design. And that's the next step. And eventually, once the design looks good enough, of course, this is in consultation with the company, in a kind of a presentation, they build an initial prototype, and the idea is to come up with a working prototype. Now, the question is, does this have to be built in a programming language? No, that's not really the case, because we also are going to support no code development. So there is also the code development, of course, so where we'll be predominantly using Python. But also there is a idea that students could also develop these prototypes using no code solutions. And the working prototype that they build would be kind of demonstrated to the company to see what their response is. And of course, the grade of the students would be in line with the feedback that we get from the company on the basis of how we think the real world challenge was actually kind of, let's say, solved. So or it's a kind of a design solution. So it's not like we are trying to solve a problem that needs kind of a clarification, like what AI would do. But this is more like the students have to build a system. And it could be a no code solution, but there needs to be an application built. So it could be, you could think about a web application, of course, or a mobile phone application, but it could also just be a simple, piece of software or which is running on some platform. Okay, so it could be a laptop, it could be a tablet. So this is what we mean as the working prototype. And following this course, we have the digital. So this was the digital impact lab. Following this course, we have the AI impact lab. And in the AI impact lab, what we do is perhaps the same challenge with a little modification. We try to find the real world data associated with that challenge. And based on that, the team of students need to come up with a way in which they analyze the data. right? So here is where their knowledge and their existing, the what they have learned from the previous courses really comes into play, because here they will be actually using that in a real world problem. Uh, Although they would have had real like hands-on experience in the data science course that I teach, this is a real follow-up on that. And it's even better that I'm not involved in this course, because then I can see the knowledge that that is taught in the earlier course being actually used by the students in this course in the AI Impact Lab. So that's the idea. They take the real world challenge, they see the data related to the challenge, they apply their what I mean by KDD is their the skills of actually synthesizing, understanding the data, coming up with a predictive model, and actually this predictive model that they come up with, which is something like machine learning, like they can actually predict the future uh, given the data. The idea is that they combine this predictive model with their existing prototype from the digital impact lab, and now they have like a working prototype with AI. And that would be the outcome of the two labs, and we are very excited about the two labs. This would be the AI impact lab, because they are so well I think we have designed it in a way that one lab kind of feeds into the other one, and they would eventually have a wonderful working prototype with AI at the end. And here are the people who are going to be teaching the labs. We have, of course, Hido handling the digital impact lab, and Reza and Claudia handling the AI impact lab. Okay, so the going back to the whole idea about the masters, and which of these skill set that the executives mentioned are related to each of these courses that we see, right? So let us go through them one by one. Information systems development was the most often mentioned skill that the C-level executives would like to see in new hires. And we see that course coming up in two of the labs, as well as my course that I would be teaching, the data science and AI for business course, right? So this is so here we actually map every skill that the C level executives mentioned to the courses that we actually have in the masters. And the next one would be the technology, which comes up in theories of BITM, as well as the my course, the data science for and AI for business course, but also the labs, because there they will be actually looking into implementing the theory in a very hands-on way, right? Uh, of course, the data science and ML part is, as the name suggests, it's completely in the covered in the data science and AI for business course. But also, you would see that coming up in the AI Impact Lab, because that's where they actually use these ideas and these advanced technologies in creating that application. Next, we have the digital transformation and consulting course. And you might have guessed that's directly covered in the change management and consultancy course that will be taught for the first time, but by a lecturer who has a lot of experience in teaching this course. Then we have the IT governance and strategy and governance, which will be covered in theories of BITM. Cybersecurity, and this is directly covered in the cybersecurity in IT AI auditing course. Business models, again, covered in the digital transformation course. Process and data analysis, this would be covered in multiple courses, theories of BITM, as well as the data science course, as well as the two labs. And ethics and law course will be covered in the same course with the same name, so ethics and law. And finally, we have teamwork, which is a soft skill, and a very important soft skill that will be covered in the two labs, because here the teams of 3 to 4 students would be working on this project, hopefully the same project across the 2 labs, right? And the project is given by a company. So now the question some of you might have is, how is this master's positioned in the sea of different masters that are already available in Netherlands? So we are, of course, focusing only on Netherlands because, we see that, that's like close to us, close to Amsterdam. And they also, many of these other universities also offer kind of, at least by the name, kind of similar sounding masters. So we have Masters of BIT from University 20, and you see our masters has more in terms of technology in general and lower in terms of other courses other than BIT. So these are the business, the IS, and the technology components of the masters, and we generally do very well in terms of information systems component. It's about the average, the percentage. And in terms of technology, we are actually better, I would say, than most of the other masters offered in, with a similar sounding name, offered in Netherlands. And if you see the other courses, that component is also a bit lower. So our than the other masters. Therefore, our masters focuses a lot on information systems and technology, of course, but also has a very clear business component. And we have, in fact, integrated the business component so well into our labs that we actually work on real world cases where we have companies who are interested in getting their problem solved, of course, who come up with these cases with real problems, and the students work on that. So it's very closely linked to business. And many of the courses also, including my course on on data science and AI for business, focuses a lot on the business aspect. So this is always a focus. And I think we did a good job in designing this course. So in general, our master is very research driven because we have a very long time, even for the master thesis, starting already in period 3 with the basic courses on understanding different aspects of research design, research methods, and so on, and going on all the way till period 6. It's very relevant. Our courses are very state of the art, and they're really thinking about the disrupt, design, and deliver aspect. And therefore, we are also thinking about, but in the meanwhile, we are also thinking about the responsibility, as a citizen. And in that idea, that we talk about digital transformation, and also those concepts are covered in theories of BITM as well as digital transformation. And also sometimes these topics come up in the thesis clinic, and it's very international. So the entire master's, of course, is in English, and all the courses are taught in English, and the master thesis would also be written in English. So English would be the main language. And that was it for my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. So what I can do is, there are already a couple of questions, and I will be going through them and answering them. So Emmanuel asks, how good should your programming skills be to successfully complete this MSc? The website doesn't mention that many programming courses. That's a very good question. And the whole idea behind this master's is that we don't expect the students to have a very strong background in programming. We don't expect that, right? So each of the courses, including the data science and AI for business course that I teach, has a possibility of finishing the course completely without writing a single line of code. Okay. And therefore, even the data science and AI for business course, we have like a no code component in it. So you can use a particular no code software, and you can complete all the tasks in the course and even get a very good grade. Also, we would be doing the same thing with the labs. So the labs would also not require uh, uh, good programming experience. Although I must add that if you do have some programming knowledge, uh, we would love to encourage you to continue the track in throughout the whole master. So starting with the course that I teach, the data science and AI for business, where we would encourage you to use Python programming skills, for example, and that you could continue with the two labs. And that way, and maybe even the master thesis, you could have used programming in many of these courses. Okay, so it's not a requirement. At the same time, if you do know some programming, we encourage you to use that. You mentioned a 6 months thesis period, but in this structure, it only accounts for 15 weeks, which is 4 months. This also seems to differ from the structure of digital business MSc. Could you clarify this, how this will work in practice? This is asked by Rumi. So the idea is that indeed, it looks on paper that we have only 4 months for the thesis, and I can go back to the screen where we mentioned that. So if you, okay, I think this must be a faster way to go back. But even here, you can just see the diagram on the right. It's a bit smaller than than I would have preferred, but okay. So here we see that period 5 and period 6 are predominantly for thesis writing, or doing the research, thesis research, and that is so 12 weeks here, and we also have the thesis clinic in period 3, so that is 4 weeks, right? So so 12 plus 4, about 16 weeks. And that, I think, roughly translates to 3 months. But we also have period 4, which, although it doesn't say thesis during that time, we actually start the thesis in period 3, and we go all the way till period 6. Of course, we have the two courses in period 4, but the idea is there that only one course, like the Digital Impact Lab, is really kind of strenuous. So it requires some effort, a lot of effort, maybe. But the cybersecurity course does not require so much effort, in my opinion. And given that there are only these two courses, we could make some progress on your thesis during period 4 also, right? So that is the idea, and that's how we have designed it. So you would have period 3, period 4. Period 3 is when you come up with the design of your master thesis. Then you have period 4 that you could also work through, and then period 5 and period 6. In period 5, you have only the AI Impact Lab course to do, and period 6 is entirely dedicated to your thesis writing, okay, because that's towards the end. So that is how we have structured it. And let me know if you have any more questions about that. Adeline asks, is thesis optional or mandatory? Can students choose to replace thesis with other selective courses? The way we have currently designed, and I think this is a requirement also from the examination board, is that master thesis is indeed an essential component of this master's. So having said that, there could be, and you talk about selective optional courses, there could be a way in which we could maybe swap a particular course for a particular student with another course that is offered in another faculty. That could be possible, right? But this is on a per case basis. So we'll have to see and discuss with the student. I will have to discuss, being the program director, whether that is feasible and whether it's a good replacement for the existing course. Okay, so especially if you already have some experience in that particular course and you think it's a repetition of a course that you have already done, that could be possible. But the master thesis would be compulsory. Will the real world challenges provided, so this is again by Adeline, will the real world challenges provided to students, or can students choose what to solve by digital impact lab? Will there be opportunities to collaborate with companies in the class? Indeed, that's the idea. So the idea is to collaborate with companies, but also the one of the ideas is that we don't give the particular project to the student team, but the student team is free to select the particular project, but it's always going to be in a first come first serve basis, where the first team to choose that particular project would get it. Okay, so we have interesting question from Romy. Romy is studying computer science and economics in Leiden, which is quite technical, and he wonders whether the follow-up master ICT in business is also quite technical. And you do mention that ICT in business master is less technical than BITM. However, during the previous open day, I understood that digital business was less technical than ICT in business in Leiden. Okay, so Romy, that's a very good question. I don't really know the ICT in business masters offered in Leiden, but I can tell you about the two tracks, one track and one master that we are offering in Amsterdam Business School. So what we have is earlier we had the digital business track. Okay, so this was part of the regular MSc in business administration. It was a track there. Okay, and that had only 3 courses, which are common with this new masters. The 3 courses being theories of digital business, digital transformation, and data science and AI for business. Okay, so what we have done is we have gone beyond those 3 courses and we have built a whole masters. And in doing that, we have made it quite technical. So even the data science and AI for business was earlier called data science for business. There was no AI component in it. So we are putting some neural network component already in that course, right? And the labs will also not have too much, let's say, will be quite technical, okay? Because the problem will be technical, right? It's a problem coming from the industry directly, and that's bound to be a complex problem, not a very easy problem. Let me put it that way. So that would require a kind of a technical solution, right? And there we are also focusing a little bit on how you come up with the solution as consultants or as potential managers, because there's a whole process, right? You have to understand the problem, you have to build the requirements, you have to come up with the design, and final stage is coming up with the application. Now this process of going from the requirements to the actual implementation is, let's say, also something that you learn in the lab, and that's a very important skill. It's a bit like project management skill, right? It's agile software development kind of skill. You have to work as a team and you have to work in an agile way, right? And that makes it quite technical because you have a deadline and you're working as a team and you're bringing in your ideas and your skills and expertise together to come up with that solution. And that's not just one lab, we have 2 labs like that following each other. So I would say it is much more technical than the regular digital business track, much more technical. But I'm not sure about the other course that you mentioned, ICT for business in Leiden, because I'm not aware of that. So you'll have to look at the courses and actually compare them to come up with a more nuanced and a better perspective of which course to follow, right? Petros has this question. Could you explain the difference between information systems and technology? How would UvA masters being more technology heavy benefit us in terms of career prospects? Okay, that's a very good question. So the basic idea behind the difference in between information systems and technology is that in technology, we are actually looking at the actual technology, right? So by technology, I mean things like blockchain. Blockchain is a technology, right? Big data is a technology. Machine learning is a technology, right? Distributed systems is a technology. Someone asks about SQL. That's a technology, right? All these are technologies, and the idea is that the students should get a good idea of these technologies, and that's pretty clear, I think, for all the listeners and all the potential students for this masters. But what is not very clear is what is information systems there. Okay, so information systems are these theories that govern the usage and the design of these technologies. Okay, so we go one layer higher than the technologies and try to understand what initiated the design of that particular technology. Why was the technology designed that way? And that you can get those ideas from understanding the theories that underlie the making of these technologies. And we will be covering them in the theories of BITM course, for example, the digital transformation course, right? But you'll also understand some of these theories in the other courses like the consulting change management and consultancy course, right? And some of these theories also come back in your thesis clinic, where we talk about the fundamental theories that underlie the field of information systems. So information systems is here, like a layer above your information technologies, and they kind of govern not just the design but the requirement, like why was that technology even made in the first place. That can be understood by understanding the information systems theory that is the basis of this technology. Good question. Mehdi asks, do we use SQL in one of the courses? Indeed, that is one of the ideas. So if, let's put it this way. If you have expertise in programming and you are able to handle data in like through the masters, in the digital impact lab, one of the ideas is that we have a 101 on SQL, where we will teach students who don't have any experience in SQL some basics of SQL. And then the idea is to use data in as part of their application development, right? And this becomes even more important in the AI impact lab. So if you're actually going to use data and especially code, like coding it in Python, or it is very important that you also have some understanding of SQL. I will say a little more than a basic understanding, because that will really help you build that application that we are looking for at the end of the two labs. I am Harry asks a question. When the detailed course curriculum will be out in study guide? Okay, when will the detailed course curriculum be out in study guide? I think it is already, let's say, in UvA knows, if you are familiar with University of Amsterdam and if you're a student here, it is already in UvA knows. I think they are actually working. The administration is actually working on putting it in study guide, the study guide. And you can expect it very soon, I think, in a couple of weeks. So that should be there. Will we, and the question is, can we choose some courses to improve our programming skills? Yes, indeed. If you're interested in using programming language for many of the courses, we will help you at the start of the masters. We will help you with a few courses that you could already follow to get your programming skills up and good enough for doing much of these the courses, the one course and the two labs in a programming language like Python. Okay, so that should be indeed possible. Okay, let's go on. There are quite a few questions. That's good. Will also strategy management skills be taught, or is it something I'll have to take electives for? Very good question, Hannah. We definitely are teaching strategy and management skills, because this is a course in business information technology management, right? So it is definitely has a very strong management component as well as a business component, and strategy is part of business. So as I already mentioned, and I'd like to mention that again, we will be covering strategy and management in the theories of BITM course, the digital transformation course, and especially, and I'm very excited about this, the change management and consultancy course, which I think is a kind of a game changer of a course, because it really gives you the skills to go about in implementing that strategy that you have in a company, and shows you how you can actually actually do that implementation. And that's the change management and consultancy course. And also, a few of these skills might come up in the ethics and law course, right? So some ideas about that, right? So what are the ethics involved in different strategies? So so that could be also covered there. Is there a possibility for exchange during this master's? So to a different university for a semester? What about internships? Very good question from Lindsay. I would say that right now we have some ideas about the exchange, but because this is the first time we are offering this masters, they are not very concrete ideas. Although I'm working on them, and it could be a possibility already in the first year of this masters. So I'm looking at masters for the exchange possibility in and around Europe, which makes travel easy, and also the European standard for courses can quite easily be transferred to UFA, I think. So yeah, so that could be a very good, very nice possibility, but it's still under design. But I can perhaps update not the website, but we are coming up with a Canvas page where we would mention some of these things. Hannah asks, what would be the main mandatory materials prescribed for self-study? Would it mostly be reading the book chapters? It won't be like reading book chapters, because that is what we would do in the course itself, which would be part of the coursework. The study materials before the masters would be a little bit like online courses that you could follow, which are quite maybe simple to follow. But during the masters, much of the study material is indeed based on textbooks, and especially like the core courses like theories of BITM, data science and AI for business, digital transformation, change management and consultancy. Mostly we'll be using textbooks, also cybersecurity and AI, IT auditing. But for the labs, of course, there are no textbooks, but we would be using some online material to help you with the labs. Yeah. So Emmanuel asks, question to Professor, why should we choose this MSc instead of digital business MSc when everything is equal? Actually, they are not equal. This is a very dedicated, complete master's for business information technology. And only the three courses, theories of BITM, digital transformation, and data science and AI for business, only those three courses are going to be common. Everything else is going to be new in this master's. So moving on, is it mandatory for the thesis to be Python based or another language? Could you share some sample thesis topics we could do? Is asked by Alexandra. So this it requires a little more nuanced answer. Maybe that could be for a nice follow-up. But you don't require to, it's not required to know programming to do your master thesis. Definitely not, right? So the idea behind the master thesis is handling a problem, a research problem. It could be applied to industry also, but there needs to be a strong research component in it. And coming up with a thesis that explains how, to come up with a clear contribution in terms of research insights, and with a little bit of a practical insight too, right? So that is how we would actually expect the master thesis to unfold. And it's definitely not like a programming exercise, but more what you would expect in a regular master uh, program, where you have to write a thesis. You have to, yeah, and the thesis, of course, looks at a research question, and this could be very theoretical, right? It could be completely theoretical. It could be something like uh, people are having this technology in this company, but they are having problems in actually dealing with the technology. Why is that? Why is that? That's a research question, okay, and it's a valid research question. And you would go about maybe interviewing the people in the company to figure out, okay, what the core problem is, why they don't like this technology, or why is it doesn't match their skills and their actual tasks that they need to do, and then come up with some theory. It says that maybe this particular company requires special kinds of technologies, or this particular company doing such tasks requires another kind of software than what is available in the market, right? Could be an outcome of your thesis. So this is a very soft topic. Sorry. But you could also have a more technical topic, where you talk about a problem that we are seeing in some area, where they are not able to handle the the vaccines. Not enough vaccines are there in a particular country, and then you could say, how do you go about predicting the requirement for such vaccines, and the healthcare requirement in that country, right? So once you come up with such a prediction, you can also come up with a way in which you can uh, uh, model it and help the particular organization actually deliver those vaccines. So it's kind of a decision support tool, and this is very close to some of the research that we do in this department. Emma asks, are there opportunities to learn SQL, Power BI, R, Python during the program? Indeed, that will be possible. So if you are interested in learning, we have many opportunities to do that. Starting from, of course, the first lab, but even before that, in the data science and AI for business course, I kind of encourage some of the students to either team up with students that know the technologies and would like to learn it, or try it themselves, right? So of course, there's also a possibility to do this without any coding, so the no code idea. But if you like to do some coding, it's also great, right? So it's both are welcome. Will it be possible to do a thesis in a company, thesis internship? Absolutely, because this is a business school, and we encourage as far as possible the students to also do their thesis in a company, and which is kind of a win-win, I would say, because the companies, of course, get to see the student and gets to see how the student solves a real-world problem that they are maybe facing. And for the student, it's a very nice opportunity to get to know the company and to see whether that's the company they would like to work for after they graduate from the masters. So it's strongly encouraged during our master thesis to also approach companies to do maybe an internship, and then followed by a thesis, or directly a thesis project with a particular company. And that's following basically the same, let's say, trajectory of many of the MSc students in business administration and MBA students. They basically do that, and we would also be following the same idea in this masters. Emmanuel asks, how will most examinations take place? Should we expect similar style to BA examination with multiple choice questions, also midterm and end term exams as well? So this is a master course, right? So in such a master course, generally you don't have midterm exams. What we typically have is end term exam, which constitutes at least 60% of the entire grade. So individual course grade should be at least 60% according to the examination board, and the rest of the grade would come up would constitute or be can be, like, let's say, filled in with maybe assignments and group projects, right? So that is possible for the remaining 40% maximum, right? So some courses, maybe they have 30-70 split, but many courses I know in this master's would be having 40-60, where 60 would be for the final examination and the rest would be for kind of assignments plus group project. Ilka asks, is attendance mandatory for the courses? Some courses may have attendance, compulsory attendance requirement, especially the labs, I think, because we put in so much effort. In the labs, we would like the students to be there as a team, and that way we can also see the progress of the team when they come up to the lab sessions. So that is very strongly encouraged, uh, the attendance during the lab sessions. And in most other courses also, like, I can't really tell about them, and because some of the courses are going to be offered for the first time. And generally, by and large, the idea, at least from the courses I teach, is that lecture attendance is kind of is optional, but tutorial attendance is kind of mandatory, because we put in a lot of effort, and also we are spending energy to be there to answer questions. We would rather not see an empty class, right? So we'd like students to come there, ask us questions, show us their progress. It, I think, helps the learning a lot, right? So that's a very good question, and I think we at least like to encourage attendance, or make it partly mandatory, if you can use that word, uh, for the tutorials and the lab sessions, right? So that's where we would really want to see all the students in the class. Shreyas asks, after doing this MSc in BITM, what type of jobs can I go look for? Excellent question. For example, in IT sector or in the management field. And what are the benefits of doing the master in BITM? Will there be a demand in companies for doing MSc in BITM? We expect a lot of demand, because these skills that I spoke about coming from the C-level executives, that's covered in all our courses. And those exactly are the skills that the C-level executives are looking for. And we know this because we have a very large sample of C-level executives that we have asked this, right? And many of them are alumni of Amsterdam Business School. So we are closely in touch with them, and some of them, 6 of them, very highly placed in all the companies in Amsterdam and in the region, are part of what we call executive board, right? Advisory board of this masters. So we are actually in consultation with them, and they were also, like, consulted during the design of this masters, as you have seen in my presentation. So we think that the skills that you gain are not just in machine learning, data science, application building, in agile development methods, AI, cybersecurity. These are technological skills, but we also come up with the soft skills that are required to excel in management, like change management consultancy, right? And we're also talking about ethics, right? So I think it's a well-rounded master in that sense. And your other question was, what type of jobs can we look for, right? So we are looking at students who pass out from this masters would be strong technologically, so have a very good understanding of the technical skills, but also will have like a very good skill set in change management, in soft skills that are required in businesses. So you could look for consulting jobs, right? Like Capgemini and KPMG, Deloitte, all the big consulting companies. But you could also see jobs as data science managers, like data analysts and data managers, data science managers, or general IT managers, IS managers, right? So that is the kind of job profile that you could aim for at the end of this, right? So, and eventually, of course, we also see CTOs, right, with this skill set. So eventually, you would rise up to the level of CTO, or you can start your own company. And some of the students in our alumni group, and also in the advisory board, are CTOs themselves, right? And we have also very senior advisors from the consulting companies. So that's what we have. It's a very good question, and I hope I have answered your question well. Emmanuel asks, I think we have a few more minutes. I'll go ahead. Gives me a link which I need to click, I suppose. Link to the study done that decided to start this MSc, all data and info for those who are interested. Oh, thank you. Okay. Adeline asks, thank you for answering a question. Okay. Thanks for being there, Emma. I hope I answered all the questions and it was quite clear how we have placed this master's. And for the students in Amsterdam who want to maybe consider this master's, I would say this master's is definitely more technical than the MSc BA track, digital business track. But also it gives you the unique combination of hands-on understanding and development of applications, while having a very good grasp of theories in information systems, in machine learning, in cybersecurity, and all the other technologies that are kind of disrupting the existing landscape, right? So I think given the time that we are almost done, I would say, and there are no open questions, I'm very happy to have this role as program director of this new masters. And we're really excited and looking forward to welcome the first cohort of students starting in September. And I think we will have a very nice, fun program, which is also very useful in getting awesome jobs in the IT industry, and also in this, we give the skills to disrupt, design, and then finally deliver. Okay, so that's what we are aiming for, and I hope we deliver on that. So thanks for attending this webinar. And if there are no more questions, I would say good luck with your existing study and in deciding which masters you need to take. And and if you're interested in this masters, I would love to answer your questions also by email. And if you've chosen this master, I'll also love to see you in September. Thank you. And hopefully see you in Amsterdam Business School starting September. Bye-bye.